Oh, Jesus.
What?
Oh, why? So, it is still Sunday morning, afternoon-ish time, or something like that. And typically, I would have Sean Capra here, but he's not here today. So, but we're still going to do the thing where we thank the patrons over on Patreon with our gold members, Mr. Brendan Myers, James Johnson, Ryan Turford, Coach Timbo, Dawn Becker, Nasty Boots and Tammy, Joel Brooks, and Jonathan Brown. Now, that amazing music by Mr. Chris O'Brien. Let's go.
They're breaking down all the news and they're making it nice. Give Furukawa and Bowser all their business advice. Gonna answer your questions, gabbing on and on. If you like what you hear, go check out the Patreon. The Nintendo Guru, yeah, his name is Bobby. He loves all things Nintendo except maybe Kirby. And the greatest co-host in all of the land. You know it's Sean like Connor, it could be like the pants. If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 177 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest caNERDian in all the Canadian land, Mr. Mark Carabin. What is up, dude?
How you doing?
I am very well. I am very well. Okay. So let's just preface this episode with this. So Sean, like 2 weeks ago, he tells me, "Hey man, December 7th, I'm not going to be able to record." So I'm like, okay, no problem. A couple days go by, I go back to Sean and go, "Yo man, December 7th is a Saturday. Why does that affect us at all?" And he's like, "Oh my God, I messed up. December 1st. I was like, okay, no problem. So for some reason, in my mind now, I'm thinking the second week of December, he's not going to be able to record. So I wake up this morning, I come downstairs, come downstairs, so used to my old life. I come across the building, across the house to my studio, and I start to set up, and then I'm like, Sean's not here yet. Where's Sean at? So I message him, and I'm like, dude, you up? No answer. I'm like, that's weird. That's not normal. So then I messaged with Discord. I'm like, you were still up? And all of a sudden I'm like, did I mess the dates up? And I start scrolling back through the chat. And I'm like, oh my God, I messed the dates up. So then I start panicking. I'm like, who am I going to get to come on? And I start messaging like a bunch of people. And I was like, there's one person. There's one person who never lets me down, who always bails me out every time I'm in a jam. It's one of my best friends, Mark Carabin. How you doing, buddy?
Ooh, I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here. Always happy to get a text from you asking for some help, and I'm happy I could make it happen today, man. I'm going to my parents later. We had a little bit of running around, like when you first texted me. We were just kind of heading out the door, so I had this sweet spot of a little bit of time in between those two things, and super happy to fit you in and talk about Nintendo for a bit. So I'm pumped.
Perfect. And real quickly, for those that don't know, Mark actually does a podcast with Todd Oxtra from Secret Friends Unite called the Co-op Mode, right?
Co-op mode. Yeah.
It comes out, once every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks, yeah. Usually Tuesdays, every 2 weeks. So not this week, but next week we'll have a new episode. And it's kind of nice, to talk about video games after the Warp Whistle kind of ended last year.
Yeah.
I was looking for something a little less time consuming because I was doing everything on that end, and Todd not being able to talk about video games on the regular Secret Friends Unite. They cover comic book, TV, movies, geeky stuff, but usually not video games. So it was kind of a perfect little mashup of we both don't have a ton of extra time, but every couple of weeks we get together and we geek out about video games, and it's always a fun time. So follow us over there, Secret Friends Secret Friends Unite Facebook group, and it's a great place.
See, normally I'd be telling Sean like we need to move along because Todd's gonna be upset, but you're talking about Todd, so he's fine. He's good right now.
I'll handle Todd this time. Let's mess around for a bit.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout-outs. I'm going to let you go first.
Geek outs!
You're late. Okay, I'm going to let you go first. What you have a shout-out for us this week?
I'm going to shout out who is normally here. I'm going to shout out a little bit to Sean Capri and his family, going through a little bit of a rough time there with some family, fuzzy family member stuff, and my heart goes out to Sean and his family. I hope they get through it. It's never an easy time of year, but coming up to the holidays makes it even I think kind of tougher. So thinking about you guys this whole weekend and beyond. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always tough, man. It's always tough. And I know last week when I talked to Sean a little bit, he was like, "Well, we're going to go in for a second opinion because I just want." And he said that Chelsea was like, "No. I saw the scans. It's not good." So this week it kind of hit pretty hard on him, and which stinks, man. It really does stink. Because I was saying to my friend Carrie yesterday, I was like, the thing that I feel bad about is for Link. Link is so attached to those dogs. Like, I remember Chelsea telling me, like, the one day, like, she locked the dogs up from being bad in the cage, and he was just a little kid. He's still a little kid, but he was just a baby, like, young, like, a couple, like, maybe a year, whatever, but he was crawling, and he, like, crawled over and, like, locked himself in the cage with the dogs.
Jeez.
And it was like just stuff like that, like, it's
just
like
the siblings.
Yeah, man. So it's gonna be rough. I think it's gonna be real rough for him once he realizes, like, Charlie's not there. You know what I mean? And I get it. It's tough stuff. It's never easy, man. It's never easy. I'm gonna give a shout out to Broken Games HDR over on Twitter. He has a podcast called Weapon Wheel Podcast, and actually tonight, starting at 6:30 p.m., which by this point it'll have already been done. I'm recording an episode with him. They reached out to me randomly and was like, "Hey man, you want to be part of this?" And I was like, "Of course, dude. You don't have to say much. You know me. You gotta say nothing to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." And he's like, "I guess they want to talk about the reason why they reached out to me. They want to talk about the Metroid leaks and stuff, and do I want to get into that?" And I was like, "You got the right person, because especially since I have a little inside knowledge to retro in terms of all their game that never happened that people swore was happening. I want to. I think I'm going to actually open up the can on this one. I'm going to open it up tonight and let people hear why there's no game.
Okay.
That being said, there's something else I haven't really talked about this week. I might do a video. I haven't decided. But I do want to give a shout out and a well wish to Tui Games. I am no longer a part of Tui Games. I stepped down this week. I gave Jules my resignation, and I walked away from it all. It's not a bad thing. It's just time. There's just some things that just I feel like I want to pursue on a personal level, and I feel like I'm not able to commit the time that I should be to everything. And so I thought it was best to just, rather than continue down the road and feel like I'm letting people down, just walk away. And so that's what I did at this point. I don't know. It hasn't been officially announced. This would be the first time it's even said publicly. But I mean, I don't have anything to hide, so it's not anything to me, to bring it out. So, yeah. So that's a thing.
That's some stuff.
Yeah.
That takes a decent amount of maturity, though, to know that you can't give it your 100%.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do it just to do it. So good on you for that, man.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, I easily could have sat there and just collected
yeah.
a paycheck every month and got paid every month to do nothing, essentially. But I just felt weird doing that. So, that's where we're at this point. And, so also, man, real quickly before we go, I guess it's a shout out, kind of. I don't know. Man, Black Friday. Holy cow. I don't know if you went. Okay, so listen. Typical. I think I finally hit the point where I'm like, okay, not being married may be okay come holiday time. Because, man, Dude, I was literally laying in bed Thanksgiving morning, just buying stuff like crazy, right? And then I come back here and I start streaming on Thanksgiving, which was Thursday. And shout out to Miss Texan. She comes in with this website, DekuDeals.com. Don't know if you know about it. Best website in the world when it comes to this stuff. Literally lists every single game that was on sale, right? Right down the list. Not just physical games, digital games, everything, right? So then, let's just say, hypothetically, you see this little game here, Ni no Kuni, right? And you're like, I want to check this out. You click on it, and it will tell you every single price for every single thing, digital, physical, every place. And the prices. And then you click it, and it takes you to the web page. And if it's a digital game, it takes you to the eShop, and you can literally buy it right then and there. Amazing. Wow. So I turned my stream into a Fortnite stream, into a Black Friday shopping stream, and I start buying games. I bought $140 worth of games for $80.
Not bad.
Yeah, I got Saints Row the Third, Ni no Kuni, Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy. And one other game I can't even... Oh, The Forager. And I'm waiting for that to come as well. But then, later on, I go to my mom's house for Thanksgiving, and another shout-out to Clever the Great, one of my friends over on Instagram, Jesse. And he reaches out, and he's like, yo, man, do you know about this 1 terabyte SD card is on sale for $200? Those things are going for $500. And I was like, I always said, if it dropped to 200, I'm pulling the trigger. And I pulled the trigger. It should be here tomorrow.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
I have a 1 terabyte, because I have a 400 terabyte at the moment, and it's full.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate playing that game of like, what do you archive or delete, and what do you save, and what do you move? I just hate that. I just want everything there. So I bought one, and then if they drop down to 100 or whatever, I'll buy another one for my Switch Lite or whatever it might be. But this one's for my other one. Did you do any? I mean, you got a kid on the way, so it's a little tough for you. Man. Your days are numbered.
Yeah, I went big last Black Friday.
Did you really?
So last year is when I got the 4K TV, Xbox One X, and we bought my wife a Switch. So we went big last year.
I guess you did.
Started planning and putting money down on a Disney trip shortly after. So we went big last year. This year, not so much. I bought a couple of presents for my nephews. And what did I get for myself? One of the Destiny 2 expansions, not Shadowkeep, Forsaken, the one before that, because I missed out on that one. It's the one in between that I haven't played. So I grabbed that, and I think that's it.
So I also bought my nephew a Switch and my niece a Switch Lite. Wow, that was what I bought from bed that day. So I figured it out yesterday. I have spent $2,500 on Switches since launch. Part of me just wants to say, okay, Animal Crossing, I'm done, and that's it. But I know me, I'm an idiot.
There's still. I love that you're still admitting that you're gonna buy at least the Animal Crossing.
Oh, definitely. Come on, man. You know me, Mark. You know how much I love Animal Crossing, and I got to get that one if it comes out. So. Amazing. Whatever. Okay, so let's just jump into some topics here. So the first one I want to talk about is I just saw this morning. Kevin Kenson, I believe you say his name is. He's a YouTuber, does some phenomenal stuff. If you don't know his work, go check him out over on YouTube. But I think a lot of people already know his work. But he put a video out today, or maybe a couple of days ago. I don't know exactly when. But it's called the Xbox Switch. And my question is, Mark, if we ran Nintendo, would we be worried about the Xbox Switch? Real quick, let's just jump into what it is to get people up to speed. And basically what it is, it's just not controllers. Like, my first thought was it's a controller or whatever, but basically what you do is you put this cover on your phone. It's made by Motorola, I guess, for Razer. you put it's made by Razer, right?
Razer. Yeah.
Okay, so you put it on the phone, and then it has, like Joy-Cons, it slides in the rails, 2 controllers, a left and a right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play the xCloud via this thing. They are saying right now it is a few Google phones are what it works with. They are talking about going to iPhone next. But then you think like, okay, so what? That's no big deal. Then he took it and hooked the phone to the TV and then used the Joy-Con separated, or whatever they're calling them. I forget what they're calling them.
And he did dock them too, like in a basically Joy-Con grip.
Yes.
So
yes.
All 3 ways to play.
All 3 ways that you're used to a Switch with the xCloud service and these Razer things. Now, let's just preface this with a couple of issues at the moment. There is a little bit of lag, just a tiny bit, especially when he was hooking it to the TV. He said because there's a latency because you're basically streaming to the phone, which then projects to the television, and then you have the latency in the controllers as it is because they're not now connected to the actual dock or the Switch or the phone. You know what I mean, for best thing. I don't know what when you saw this, what was your first takeaway from it?
To me, to be completely honest, I'm no more scared of this. If I was Nintendo, I'd be no more scared of this than I was of anything else related to xCloud. Sure, it's a little bit more of a compact form factor if you don't want to bring an Xbox controller or some other controller with your phone to hook it up, whatever. This is, essentially a Switch and 2 very tiny controllers. You could put in a couple of different pockets aside from your phone, whatever. It does make it a little bit more compact. So that's really the only thing. But aside from that, it's just using the regular xCloud technology, which is, depending on how you look at it, scary enough on its own.
Yeah.
With an Xbox controller and a phone, you essentially have an Xbox everywhere.
Yeah.
So to me, minimal amounts of being a little bit more scared, but really it's not that much because it's more hardware to buy. So I think a vast majority of people are going to be using just their phone and an Xbox controller, maybe have a grip. Is Microsoft going to come out with their own version of this? Are they going to let third parties like Razer and they've now announced a ton of hardware partners already. We're going to see things like this. We're going to see docks and things for iPads and iPhones and Android phones and this and that and whatever. Honestly, if I'm Nintendo, I'm no more scared of this than I was of xCloud as a concept is the scariest thing. But at the same time, it does rely on that fast, steady internet connection. Yeah. It's not, if you're on a subway somewhere and have no connection, you can still play most of the Switch. And obviously you can't play online multiplayer or something, but you can still run around in Breath of the Wild or whatever. This, you're still screwed. There's no connection there. You're SOL.
I mean, that's the main thing, the advantage. And I think the other thing that Nintendo has in its back pocket that it's always had is just the Nintendo IP. Just those games alone is to me enough to hold them to go, hey, we're okay with whatever anybody does. But I also don't want to be like, hey, we're egotistical where we're not worried about nobody. Like this may not be anything that affects Nintendo in the here and the now. But I think that it definitely looks like it's something that could affect Nintendo moving forward as time goes. Because I've said it before, I really believe that this is the final home consoles, or one of the final home consoles for PlayStation and for Microsoft. I think they are leaning and moving more towards this digital streaming service online, and I think that Nintendo, and I think Microsoft has been playing this Trojan horse game for a very long time, where people don't even see it creeping up on them. So for how long? Because it's one of these things of like, well, Xbox is the wounded dog. We're just going to ignore it and it'll go away. But there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded dog. And just Thanksgiving, I go to my mom's house and my uncle comes over, and my uncle's like 70-something years old, and he says to me, but he's always has been like involved in tech and all that stuff, but he says to me like, "Hey man, I'm gonna buy this Xbox One S with the Star Wars bundle for $199. Should I get it?" Well, and he starts asking me questions about it. And I was like, well, I mean, honestly, because he's talking about 4K TV, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess you should get if you're asking me what the better console is, I think the better console is the PlayStation over the Xbox. I said, he goes, and this is what he says to me, well, I don't want to buy games. And this Game Pass is pretty awesome. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'd never heard somebody outside of gaming come with that. And it's one of those things of like, sometimes we live in this hyperbolic chamber where we hear it all and we know it all, but we don't think about the outside world. And when my uncle, who's 70-something years old, comes to me talking about Game Pass, it just makes me go, wow, Microsoft's really doing a good job getting this out there.
Yeah.
It's
for sure.
I think Nintendo, on a bigger scale, needs to be a little nervous with what Microsoft is doing here. Just because, like, this, we'll go back to the Xbox Switch in a second here because I got a question for you. But this is just like where they're heading, where Microsoft is heading, needs to get Nintendo a little nervous. I know they've been playing buddy buddy for a while here, but it just feels like this could be a flip and we could take absolute control. Now, 2 questions I have for you real quick. One, do you ever see Nintendo allowing or some way to do xCloud on the Switch?
I think so. I'd like to see that. Nintendo's been giving, or Xbox has been giving Nintendo a lot. We have yet to see the other shoe drop.
Yeah.
We've yet to see what Xbox is getting from this, aside from selling a few games on Nintendo consoles and a weird shout out in a Smash Brothers trailer kind of thing, them saying, hey, these games are available on Xbox, go play them there. But you have to think that Xbox kind of wants that of, hey Nintendo, we have our IP, you have your IP, here's the Xbox xCloud app on a Nintendo Switch, and we're going to say that that's the best way to play games on the go or something like that, right? Like, because you have the Joy-Con built in. But now with this Razer gear, do they need Nintendo? It's weird because the Switch doesn't have a great Wi-Fi chip in it. It's sufficient but not great. The screen is not as high definition as most of the phone screens out there. If you can come up with some kind of reliable, good feeling Joy-Con type setup like it seems that Razer has done, does Xbox need the Nintendo Switch?
My feeling was initially, yes, they need them. But after seeing
this,
it makes me a little like, do they really?
Yeah. I've been saying that for a long time, that like the Switch, I think the Switch could be the portable Xbox. Yeah. And this video is making me say, oh, maybe not. Yeah. It's that's a scarier proposition than anything else. It seemed like Nintendo and Xbox, like Nintendo wouldn't get left in the dust because they have this kind of buddy partnership with Xbox, and now it's like, okay, well, we have all these other hardware partners. Buy Nintendo, buy Felicia.
I think the thing is that we have to remember 2 things. Well, one thing really. Nintendo has the ability, like you said before earlier, just to play offline. You can't play these xCloud games if you just don't have internet access. So I think that's the difference where Nintendo has a leg up with this situation. But I guarantee you, give it time, and Xbox will be like, hey man, here's our actual tablet type setup, and you could download 1 or 2 games to it and hold it, and then you can play offline as well. But we'll see. Time will tell. The last question I have for you with the Xbox Switch thing with Razer, does Nintendo have the ability to, and if they had the ability to, they'll definitely do it, suing for the the idea and the concept, but I don't know that they actually own the concept.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's questionable.
I really don't know. It's that's up for some patent lawyers to discuss, but it seems that Razer's doing its own kind of thing now. Whether it's just literally controllers that can click onto something, but I don't know, man. Like it's different enough.
The only thing that made me think that might be patentable is the rail system that Nintendo uses for, because that thing is basically you put the phone in and it creates the rail system on the phone. And the only thing that I could think was that might be it, because
that's just really just a railing system. The Nintendo Switch railing system is unique because it connects it to the system and turns off the Bluetooth and charges the Joy-Con and all that kind of stuff when they're connected to the system. When you take them off, this is, no matter if it's docked to the phone, if it's separated, whatever, it's a Bluetooth connection. It's connecting exactly the same as these wireless earbuds are. One connects to my phone. The other one, if I had it in right now, I only have one in. But if I took the other one out of the package, it would connect to this earphone, and the phone, or the computer in this case, is streaming audio to both of them. It's the exact same way, right? With those Joy-Con, the dock is literally just a convenient way to hold them attached to your phone. So even that's not really, I think, crossing on Nintendo's patents, because it's literally just some way to hold them to your phone case.
I'm just curious. I just don't know, and I'm sure Craig Caldwell, if you're listening, hit me up and let me know. Let me know that I'm wrong, and let me know what Nintendo can do and can't do. Every week, Craig does that, and I love it. He'll tweet at Sean and I and go, no, you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong. And then he gives us the actual answers, and I'm like, that's perfect. I love it. But moving forward, we got this little thing called Patreon, patreon.com/YumiCapri. And everybody, for as little as $1 a month, you can actually ask us questions and topics and all that stuff, just like our good friend Zachary Bradshaw did this week. And he said,
Before we get into that,
well, go ahead.
I want to interrupt you for a second.
Oh, Lord.
No, it's related to the last topic.
I had a nice ramble going, man. I had a nice roll going.
I know. I'm sorry, but I have this thought in my head. We talked about Black Friday sales. We talked about Nintendo Switch being, should they be worried with the Switch and the Xbox and all this kind of stuff? You just mentioned the Switch, or the Xbox on sale for Black Friday. The Switch bundle for Black Friday everywhere was the old crappy battery life original Switches bundled with Mario Kart, and still, what was it, like the same amount as the same price as an Xbox One X. So you're getting the all digital
$299,
right? So not that much more. What was the Xbox One X going for?
I thought it was
$350,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. So are you more worried about that, or do you think that's telling of Nintendo saying, we don't need a price drop, we don't need to worry about if it's old stock, people are dumb? Like,
well, I mean, not necessarily.
Showing a little bit of hubris.
Let's be a little fair here. Yes, it was old stock. They have to get rid of the old stock. They can't just lose money on that per se.
Price drop.
Well, technically, did they not? I mean, they gave you Mario Kart, which is a $60 game. I get where you're coming from. You wanted to be.
So did Xbox, and it was new games.
They gave you games with it.
Yeah, everything was coming. You just said the Jedi.
Yeah, that was the
Jedi
the S
bundle. They had a Gears bundle. They had all this kind of stuff.
But that was the S.
Yeah, no. And the X came with. There was a Jedi bundle. There was a Gears bundle. There were several bundles that I saw. Every single Xbox bundle had a game with it, and/or Game Pass.
So we'll go with some Nintendo. What I believe and what Nintendo does are two different things. If it's me, I would have sold the old stock. I probably would have jazzed it up a little bit. I probably would have sold them for $150 solo, and then with a game $200. That's what I would have done, because I feel like it's old stock. You got to get rid of it. Let's put the foot on the throat. Let's not let people buy these Xboxes. What they did was they just were like, hey, look at this is what we're doing. We're going to give you the game for free. It's the price. Boom. Now, compared to old Nintendo, I think that this is a step in the right direction because they've never discounted consoles, anything, come Christmas time. Like, you tell me the last time that you can remember that they actually discounted a console. Dude, even the Wii U thing was dying. And they were like, no, don't discount them.
So well for that console.
What's that?
I said, yeah, and that strategy worked so well for that console.
Yeah, but
they can't.
But they're also.
They never needed to drop the Wii because that thing just sold to every mom, dad, and grandma going.
The Wii U, the Wii U needed to sell.
To shift their strategy.
Yeah, the Wii U needed to shift strategy. They didn't. They rode it right into the ground. This, like I said, this isn't the ideal situation right here with this. However, it is a step in some direction for them to sell a Switch for a lesser price than they would, a normal one. But they also, let's be fair, they're also in a situation where they don't need to discount right now. You know what I mean? Like, you're also talking about the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S, which are, 7, 8 years old at this point? So, like, maybe 6, 7 years old. They don't have to. Nintendo is in it.
The X is only 2, 3?
The X is only 2 or 3, but it's playing games for the most part, other than the newer stuff, that are older versions. Nintendo's in the lead. You know what I mean? Like, even compared to PlayStation, like, what they're selling month on month, week on week, year on year, since the Switch is launched, Nintendo is beating PlayStation. They're beating Xbox. When you're winning, you don't have to lower your price. And I feel like they thought that, hey, we'll do this with these older consoles, and that's kind of considered our discounting them to get them out at a price. I was actually shocked to see them do anything, any type of bundle, special bundle for anything. I mean, that to me was, as a Nintendo fan, as watching what they do for years, it actually shocked me to see them do anything. Because going into the holiday, I just thought, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to, they're going to be Nintendo. They're just going to show up, and that's going to be it. You know what I mean? Like, they actually, they shocked me a little bit with what they did. Now, the other thing that shocked me, and it still kind of shocks me, is the amount of Switch Lites that sold. And the Pokemon one is still out there that you can still get it.
Yeah.
Normally those things
I'm super shocked that that's still in stock.
I just don't know whether or not Nintendo made more of those than typical. Because normally they're gone. Like, anything Pokemon is sold out so quick, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
This was a little bit longer. And you could say, oh, well, there was a protest. But was there really? Because they sold 6 million units the first weekend. So that tells me that I don't know about...
still selling. I think those people on the internet shoot in the mouth for no reason. It's
pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
But, okay, so we'll move into the topic from Zachary. Because it kind of fits at this point.
I want to go off on the rail just a little bit. And the last thing, if they go with that strategy next year, do you think they're in trouble? Even if they're not this year?
I think next year they change it up. I think next year next year they have to, because you have new consoles coming.
Right.
And you have to compete with those new consoles. And how do you keep people from buying the new shiny? You go, hey, we're still here. We're still relevant. Here's our thing. So I think next year they have to. I just don't think they will.
Okay.
I think if I ran Nintendo, I would. You know what I mean? But also, could we see a Switch Pro next Christmas?
That's it.
And then that changes the whole thing. Then you don't lower the price. Of course, I would.
Oh, I'd lower the price of the original.
Yeah.
Dirt cheap. Get it in the door. Like that's your Xbox One S, all digital, right? Like that's the door crasher price, right? And then you get the Pro that's still regular price straight through the whole holidays, and that's the Nintendo strategy next year.
That's true. I mean, that would be. I mean, listen, and I'm pretty sure that you and I have had these discussions in the past when we've talked where we're both big fans of Apple. You know what I mean? And what does Apple do? They bring in the new one at the regular price, and then the old one they just slash the price and get it down. Yeah. And I think that's more or less what you were probably looking for at this holiday, for Nintendo to go, hey man, here's the old model that we're not even selling on the shelves anymore. You can get this for $200 or $100 or whatever it might be. That would have been the answer. I mean, if you're pulling them off the shelves anyway, unless the only thing I could consider or I could think is that Nintendo might have looked at it as, man, we're wasting a lot of money on this back and forth, the shipping back and then repackaging it and reshipping it. There's got to be something internally of why they were like, we got to sell this. Because notoriously, Nintendo hasn't always sold hardware to make money. A lot of times they've basically sold it. Because what was it? The Wii U, they actually sold it at a price that, like, you had, for Nintendo to make money, you had to buy a game. Like,
yeah, I think so.
When they did that first price, because the first price was $350, then they dropped it to $300, and they were like, "Hey, in order to do this, for us to make money, you got to buy a game." You know, so but they knew everybody was going to buy a game. So it's one of those situations that they're kind of tight to the vest with it. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Yeah. What
sort of derail you so much there?
You're fine. I'm not used to somebody like keeping going. Like Sean's just like, okay, we're to the next topic. Go ahead, Bobby. sorry, eh? So Zachary Bradshaw, he said, what color scheme / theme would you incorporate with the next Switch Lite? So we talked about this earlier. I think it's Animal Crossing. I think it's a no-brainer what the next one is. Now, I'm of two minds. I don't want an Animal Crossing Switch Lite. I want the full-on treatment. I want the dock. I want the Joy-Cons. I want the back face plate. I want it done. I want this thing to look gorgeous. But I know that Nintendo, it's a twofold situation here. They have found that more women are buying the Switch Lite than men in the surveys they've been doing. Animal Crossing is a game that has predominantly been geared towards women. Yes, a lot of men play, and I'm not trying to just make this not come off as sexist as it might sound. Is Nintendo actually, for Animal Crossing, at one point went and changed the studio up, and it's predominantly women that work on that game because they wanted a woman's input on that game. And actually, the one director is a woman. And she actually started out as, just working on the game lowly in the game and worked her way up to become director. Actually, they themed Isabelle after her.
Cool.
And so those two things in mind, I feel like they would lean towards a Switch Lite special edition. Now, my crazy self is thinking they might do two Switch Lite and maybe that's what I'm hoping for. But then my wallet says don't, because you'll buy both. And so I think honestly they'll probably go Switch Lite. I think it's Animal Crossing.
I'm feeling the same way for that. Yeah.
What color though? If you just went color, what would be the idea of, like, what would the next color be that you think?
You know what? I'm trying to think of this, and I just looked over there to my N64, and I want a see-through purple or a see-through green.
That would be kind of cool, like the atomic ones, right?
Colors. Because my initial thought of this would be: did you see the mock-ups Brian Altano did of the Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy inspired? Switch Lites?
Yes.
Those would be my choice. 100%. Sign me up. If there's a Super Nintendo one tomorrow, shut up and take my money. But if I'm picking one single color, it's the translucent green that matches my N64 controller that's sitting right in front of me right now. That thing is badass. Now bring back the purple, because a lot of people associate the purple with the Nintendo and Nintendo 64, but I want that green right there. That is awesome.
That would be... Yeah, my only thoughts are, if you're going to do a special edition like the NES, the Super Nintendo, sign me up. A translucent color, I'd be okay with that. If I had to just pick one color, though, I would probably go one of two ways. I would want a gold one, like Zelda, just a gold color, or if I couldn't get that, I would go with like the cherry red looking color that they use for the Joy-Cons for Odyssey. Those were nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like those.
That would be nice.
Yeah, those came out really nice.
That'd be fair.
Yeah. Next,
I also saw a mock-up for one that went from I think it went from orange to purple, and there was like a really nice fade in the middle of it, but it like the each side was like a solid color, and then it kind of blended together in this like really nice gradient. Yeah. That'd be cool too. I'd love that kind of thing. Anyway,
no, you're fine. There's some really good ones on Instagram. Like I wind up going through Instagram. I'm like, oh my god, these are so fantastic. These are really well done. Next question comes from Brendan Myers. If we ran Nintendo, would we go back to Mario Party and Mario Maker 2 and add DLC to add more life to these games? If so, when do we do it? Do we do it ASAP, or do we wait till there's a first party lull? What would the DLC update be? And if you had to choose one, which would it be? Would you make it so that you could play Mario Party with controllers and not just Joy-Cons? It's a no-brainer for me on both of them. I would add DLC, absolutely. So let's start with Mario Party. I would make it so you can actually play the entire game online. So that way...
Oh, yes. Oh, 100% yes.
Yeah, so it's like not just play certain mini games, like you can actually get your friends together online, voice chat it up, via Discord or whatever. Yeah, have a game night and everybody play, go. Like that would be number one. Also, the other thing I would do is I'd probably bring back some of the older boards, some of the more fan favorite boards, and put that stuff in there. So that's number one to answer the question. For the Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Bros. 2, I feel like that's the theme that they need to put in there.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it's like a home run in my mind. I think everybody would lose their minds. Now, do I think they'll do it? No. I think they're pretty much done. Maybe Mario Maker, if there's any chance. But Mario Party, I think that ship has sailed. And I would do it. If I was going to do it, I would probably do it now. December, January. Because once March hits, it's Animal Crossing time. And it's like, I really think that game is going to just take up a lot of time for Nintendo. I think that's where Nintendo's focusing a lot. Like, what Nintendo has typically been trying to do these past couple of years is have a twofold pillar. You put a big first party out in March, and then you end it in the end of like November-ish with another first party game. And I think they're going to start with Animal Crossing, push through the year, and then do what they do, and then at the end of the year you'll have a final a final game. I just don't know if there's any other themes that I would do with Mario Maker.
I'd go Game Boy. You look at 6 golden coins, Super Mario Land 1 and 2. Maybe even add some stuff from like Wario Land, that kind of stuff in there. Yoshi's Story. Really start getting some weird stuff. If you're going to go DLC, you want people to come back to the game that seemingly most people have kind of dropped off of. You need something really fresh in there. So I think Super Mario 2 is a very easy answer, and that's the one that initially popped into my head. But I think if they did a pack of a few of these for an extra $25 or something like that, rather than just one-off, because you can't charge too much for a one-off theme. I feel like they have to hit some kind of good balance there. But if you did almost like a Smash Brothers style fighter pack of here are the 5 themes or the 4 themes that you're going to get, and this is how it's going to change the game, I think that's the way to do it right now to get people excited. And as far as when they released, doesn't really matter in my opinion. Obviously, the sooner the better. But I think the announcement needs to come now or soon to get people excited for those games. New people are going to be getting the Switch. New people are going to be getting those games for Christmas, over the holidays, whatever. Yeah. So I think if you give them something now to say, here's what's going to be coming in the new year, whether that does come in January, February, March, sometime in the summer, whenever it is, I think that's a great time to announce those and then launch them in time. Just like Smash Brothers with the Fighter Pass, here's what's coming. You're going to get this. And you might get one theme now and then more themes down the road. Something like that I think would be great. For Mario Party, for me, I think new boards, as much as I love some of the old boards, not all of them might work with the Switch, might not work with the style of how you play these game boards. So I think new stuff, just brand new boards, which again might be a little bit more costly because those boards are not easy to make if they're built all from the ground up. Yeah. But I'd love that. But I think the online thing, I think you nailed it. I think it's features. Make it easier to play with friends, make it a little bit more user friendly in that way. As far as the controller, being able to play the whole thing with a controller, I don't know if you can. As much as I do like the Switch Pro controller, for me, so many of those mini games are based on what the Joy-Con can do. I don't know if you can do that with anything else. It's and you're confusing things if you have a third-party controller that might not have, the Joy-Con and the Pro controller are fairly feature identical, basically. Yeah. But you start throwing in something from Power A in there, something from 8BitDo.
Yeah.
What do you cut off? What do you, so if you stick it with just Joy-Con, here you go. Automatically, every Switch except the Lite can get two people playing. Yeah. It makes it a little bit easier to do with a party. Now, if you throw online in there, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit different. But for me, controller support's something I never really worried about with Mario Party. But definitely online, I would love to be able to play with you guys. Imagine like setting up something on Twitch and just have a bunch of people in the community play. Or,
man.
Or just have, those kind of game nights. And
absolutely. You think about it right now. Like, I watch Joe after work play all the time, and he basically plays those Jackbox party games. Like, that's the game. Like, that's where I think Nintendo just dropped the ball with Mario Party, because that's the game that you want people. And I will say this, I do believe that Nintendo is starting to open its eyes to Twitch and streaming. And the reason why I say that is with Luigi's Mansion, they brought a bunch of streamers and a bunch of YouTubers out to the mansion that they built for Luigi's Mansion, and they let them go hands-on with the game. And then the game before that, I believe it was Mario. What game was it? Was it Mario Maker? Or was it Astral Chain? I forget which one it was. But they actually, I think it might have been Mario Maker. They featured a couple of Twitch streamers on the main page. Like, they went to Twitch and said, these are our Nintendo ambassadors. We want them to actually be featured. So when people log into Twitch, that's the first thing they saw. Miss Click was one, and I don't know who the other person was. But like for an hour, she played, and she was on the main page. And Nintendo funded that money. They put that money up to get her on that main page. So when you see stuff like that, it's like, okay, yeah, they want to be a part of this story. They're starting to understand what streaming could do for them, and I think that they didn't necessarily at that point know with Mario Party. And I think that if they were to fix this one or on the next one include online, I think it'd be a good move for them, and it would really help things out for them a lot.
I think Nintendo at this point just needs a systemic teardown and restart on their whole online structure.
On some stuff. Some stuff I think they do a good job with. Some stuff I think is bad, but some stuff I think is a pretty good job. Why you look at me like that? Wait, okay, so you have a problem with the way Mario Kart plays?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it plays smoothly, but I want to be able to trash talk you while we're racing.
I didn't say everything. I'm talking about like the play. The play is fine.
And I'm not saying that the play is Splatoon, Mario Kart, everything works fine. It's great. But at this point in the console race war, whatever you want to call it, it's not enough.
Yeah.
They need a way for me to be able to interact with you. That's the fun in in Twitch streaming, and that's the fun in playing online, is I don't care what we're playing. At this point, a smooth gameplay experience should be table stakes.
Yeah.
Online, right? Like that's been solved 2 generations ago. Who cares? Now it's all about, okay, am I sitting down on my couch and, shooting the shit with Bobby like we were sitting on my couch playing GoldenEye back in the day, making fun of each other, being like, "Oh, I'm coming up behind you. Here, how do you like this blue shell?
That
How's
part
taste?"
of it, yes, they definitely need something with the voice. They definitely need something with the voice.
They need to tear it down and build it back up, right? Like they need to rethink the strategy and admit they were wrong, because they came in being like, "Oh, who wants a headset when you can have a dongle that connects to your phone that talks to, like, who gives a shit, Reggie? Like, go away." Like, no one wants that squid dongle. It hasn't worked. Yeah. Even with the new online games, they're not building that voice chat in. That app has just sat there.
Yeah, the app hasn't, right? They haven't used the app on anything. Occasionally when I'm playing Mario Kart, my phone will chirp, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And I look over and I'm like, "Oh, people are actually in the chat. Okay,
right, that still exists."
Yeah,
right. So, like, I mean, it's that kind of stuff that I think they're missing. So I'd love to see, like a Mario Party ad online, but I'd also like to see a way to chat built right into it. Just, "Hey, Bobby, okay, it's your role next," or, "Okay, we're playing this mini game. Like, oh, you're going down. I'm going to hit you in your tank before you hit me in mine," whatever. Like,
well, I know
it's just that kind of stuff.
We know that it's capable. You know what I mean? Like, we know that the Switch is able to do it with Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Like, Fortnite allows it.
That's it.
I would love to see. What I would love to see Nintendo do is just go, "Okay, we can't do voice chat. We don't know what we're doing with it. Mm-hmm. Discord, come in and take it over, and like put an app on the thing and go."
Yep.
You know what I mean? I remember when the Vita. I remember when the Vita got Skype, and I was like, "That's the dumbest thing in the world. Why would they need that?" And then everybody was like, "So when you're playing games, you can talk to people, and it's built in." I had just assumed that there was voice chat built in the Vita. I didn't know that there wasn't, and so I think it's time that Nintendo builds the voice chat in there.
Whether it's Discord, Skype, Facebook, Messenger, I don't care at this point. Like, I'll sign up for whatever service. Just let someone build a service, whatever it is, man. Like,
I mean, ultimately, I just would
Xbox Live, whatever.
I never thought I would realize how much I wanted it until recently, but I would love to have a headphone jack in the controller, just so I can actually,
100%.
It would be so much nicer rather than having a wire. Because I literally, like, when I stream it, I have this red wire, right? But this red wire gets plugged into an extension wire to go to the back of my TV, so that way I can hear the game, and I can't talk. Like, if I'm like, there was a couple times where you jumped into a Fortnite match, and I'm like, I can't talk to him because I can't plug directly into the Switch. Because if I plug directly into the Switch, then it loses it on the stream, and the people on the stream can't hear it. So it's this weird checks and balances of where it is right now, where it needs to be. The voice chat definitely needs to be reworked. There's no doubt about that.
My Switch game time docked lately has been dropping so much just because of that headphone thing where I can't plug it in. So when I'm playing something, if my wife's tired and goes to bed early and I'm downstairs playing something, if I want to play it on the TV, I can't be quiet playing something unless I have those headphones in. And with my Xbox, I plug it into controller. There's no sound. I'm playing Jedi Fallen Order. The sound's great in my headphones. I'm done. On Switch, it's a pain in the ass. I got a 4K big TV sitting in front of me, but I'm playing Pokemon in handheld so I don't wake up my wife upstairs. That's ridiculous. Come on, like they have some problems I got to solve. But we're getting way off track.
Yeah,
but definitely. I would add voice chat to online on Mario Party.
Okay.
Bring it back full circle.
There you go. Okay, final topic comes from Todd Oxtra.
Jesus, you're rubbing off on me.
Me? You're just rambling off of your Star Wars mug over there. Listen, next one comes from your boy Todd Oxtra over at Secret Friends Unite. He says, if we ran Nintendo, how would you manage Nintendo's licenses and properties outside of video games? For example, would you partner with Apple or HBO for exclusive TV content, Legos or Nerf for branded toys? And then he basically goes off the rails with Chipotle for Yoshi burritos and all this crazy stuff. So, So my thing is I think that there's a really good opportunity with some stuff, and I think the obvious no-brainer is you have all these
Yoshi TurboTax.
Jesus God, stop it! You have all these companies starting their streaming services, and I just think you go to somebody and go, listen, we have Zelda, we have Metroid, keep Mario off the table. Because I think Mario is an animated television show, if anything. But you have Zelda, you have Metroid. You have this ability to start these series on the shows, on the streaming services. Go to them and make it work. You know, people lost their minds when that teaser came out about, Netflix getting Zelda, doing a Game of Thrones type show. Man, I'm all for it, and I think a lot of people are all for it. And I think that's where we're at the advantage now of there's so many different services out there now between Apple and HBO and Disney now, and NBC is getting ready to start their own, and Hulu has theirs, and with all these different opportunities in different ways, it's a no-brainer that this can happen, and it should happen, in my opinion. So that would be the thing that I would do.
You know what I do first?
Step. What's that?
No, the first step, you're close. The first step is hiring a Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
The first step is hiring someone in Nintendo that is the mastermind behind all this. Now, I'm not saying it all has to be connected. I'm not saying we need a Smash Brothers universe that everything's going to build towards or some crazy thing like that, because I don't think that would work for Nintendo. No. But I still think that you need one person to sit there and say, okay, Netflix, we're going to develop a Zelda show.
Yeah.
Okay, Hulu, we're going to develop a Metroid show.
Yeah.
Here's how these are going to work. You're coming to me with anything. I'm going to find the right directors, the right producers, the right cast, this person, that person. You get that one person that can kind of control and mastermind it all to make sure that it's staying within the Nintendo brand, and we're not going to get a Super Mario Brothers movie again.
Yeah.
Someone that's controlling everything. That Marvel clashes with directors all the time because they have a vision for it, and sometimes the directors want to go off and do their own thing and make it either too goofy or too wild or too improv-y or whatever, and that doesn't fit with Marvel's vision. A lot of people give Marvel shit for that, but it's always so far worked pretty much in Marvel's favor, where they have that vision. Don't mess with it too much.
Yeah.
And obviously you can have some fun with it. Look at James Gunn and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
You can make those movies your own, but you still have to kind of work within those Marvel limitations. I think Nintendo needs their own guy or girl to sit there and say, you know what, that doesn't really feel like Metroid.
Yeah.
Change it.
Yeah.
Or find someone who can.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that's what they need.
Because they do that with their games, ultimately. When they give their games out, they ultimately sit back and go like, hey, man, no, this is not how it's going to work. We're not going to give you the game. They have companies. It's been notorious. Different companies. What was it, Factor 5? They came out on NBC a couple of years ago and said that they were working on a Kid Icarus game. And went to Nintendo, got all the way up to the final product, and Nintendo was like, no, we don't like it. And they pulled the plug on it. And that's something that can happen. You go and you do these different things and see what works and what doesn't work. So I would definitely do so. I agree with that. I agree with that point completely. I think but ultimately, to answer Todd's question, I mean, I think Nintendo's already doing a pretty damn good job with what they've done. Iwata came out a few years ago, and before he passed away, and was just like, we are open to work with new companies. And everybody at that time, just so tunnel vision, thought they just mean games. And now you're starting to see like Universal come into the picture, because I think once that theme park opens up, I think it totally changes where we are in all this. I think that's when the carpet gets rolled out and they start moving forward with all this stuff. I don't 100% agree with the direction that they're going with in terms of utilizing Universal for everything. I wish they would have done the movie stuff with Disney because I feel like Pixar is a far better studio to do movies with than I do any like DreamWorks or whatever the animation is that did Despicable Me and all that stuff.
I really wonder if in that case maybe they did approach Disney and Disney said, you know what? Yeah, we'll do animated stuff with you if we can buy you.
That could be too. Disney is notorious.
Disney
for that
loves to buy their stuff, right?
Yeah,
like
they
want to own the IP. They want to own everything. You know, they don't want to give that control up to anyone. Where Universal, I think, could say, we'll make a Mario movie however way you want it. Don't worry about it. You know, can we build a theme park? Whereas
that's possible.
You're not going to see that with Disney. I don't think
that's very possible. So, so that is all. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. Episode 177 is now in your ear hole and all that good stuff. Listen, you can follow Mr. Mark Carabin over on the Twitters at @the_caNERDian. Also, be sure to check out the co-op mode from Secret Friends Unite. That's the same feed, right? So you just subscribe?
Yeah, same feed. Feed. You get all the shows, everything.
Yeah.
Also, that's the first time I just changed my Twitter handle last night, so I'm glad you caught the new one. It used to be @caNERDian Gamer. I just changed it because especially it was mainly for Instagram because it was caNERDian Gamer on both, but I kept posting like Star Wars stuff and different things on the Instagram stuff. So I said, you know what? It's not just gaming stuff anymore. I wonder if the caNERDian just is taken, and that was already taken, the caNERDian. So I threw the underscore in, and anyway, so moving forward, this is the first place. I'll announce that.
You go.
That's the new one. So thanks for picking up on that.
The funny thing, I couldn't remember what it was, so I went to go look today. I was like, there it is, and I put it on the overlay and everything because I needed it for the overlay. So there you go. You can follow me Instagram, Twitter, and now Twitch @Nintendo Gurus. The same name across the board now everywhere. That is all. Peace out, Preston.